It was a Thursday, almost 1 a.m., light rain. I was 3 rides from going home. The app pinged. Pick up at a small grocery store on the edge of town. I saw the pin, hit accept, and followed the GPS down a quiet road with fog on the grass. The store's open sign flickered. No one stood outside. I pulled into the lot and stopped under a light. I always double-check the license plate and name before anyone gets in. No one walked up, so I texted, "I'm here." No answer. I waited 2 minutes and started a cancellation timer. I was about to drive off when the back door clicked. I jumped so hard I hit the horn. A man slid into the back seat and shut the door. I didn't see him walk up. He was already inside, like he'd been there the whole time. Are you Daniel?" I asked. He leaned forward so I could see his face in the mirror. His smile was small and wrong. Yes, my heart slowed a bit. I checked the app. The rider's name was Dan. Close enough, I thought. He wore a dark hoodie with water on the shoulders, like he'd been standing in rain. But my windows were clear. No water tracks, no fog. The seat behind him looked dry. "Where to?" I asked, even though the app already showed an address near the river. He said, "You'll know." I felt a little anger push back my fear. "No, I need you to confirm the address." Silence. He looked out the window at the empty lot. I forced a fake laugh. "Okay, I'm ending the ride if you don't confirm." He turned back and said the exact address in the app. Word for word. We pulled out. The road dipped through trees. My wipers squeaked. The night felt heavy, like sound had a blanket on it. I tried small talk. He didn't answer. I asked about the river house. He kept his eyes on the black window. At a stop sign, I glanced up at the rear view mirror again and froze. For a half second, his seat looked empty. My brain must have glitched, because when I blinked, he was there again, closer than before. "Long night," he said, voice flat. "Yeah," I said. My throat was tight. We turned down a narrow road with no streetlights. The GPS arrow floated over a grey line by the water. Half the houses here were dark vacation places. The river made a low rolling sound, like someone breathing under the road. "Next right," he said before the GPS spoke. I took it. We came to a dead end, with a single house on stilts and a small dock. This wasn't the address in the app. I put the car in park and kept my foot on the brake. "This isn't it," I said. "It is," he said. "Then change it on your phone," I told him, trying to sound calm. "I can't end the ride here." He didn't move. He leaned forward again until his head was near my shoulder. His voice was level. "Do you see the dock? I left something. Can you help me carry it?" "No," I said, too fast. My hands shook on the wheel. "I can't leave the car." He smiled, still not angry, which was worse. "You can leave the car." I put the car in drive. "I'm taking you back to the pin." He sat back. "You already did." A light came on in the stilt house. A shape moved behind a curtain. My phone buzzed with a notification from the app. Rider cancelled. The fare ended, even though he was still in my back seat. I looked at the mirror again. The seat was empty. My brain refused that fact. I turned my head around. The back seat was empty. No door sound. No weight shift. Just the smell of wet river and something old, like leaves that never dried. I drove straight to a gas station with people inside. I sat there with the engine off and both hands on the wheel. A new ride pinged. I ignored it. Later, I checked my trip history. It showed I had picked up Dan exactly 1 minute before I reached the store. The timestamp didn't make sense. For 2 weeks after, I kept finding a small, wet circle on the back seat each morning, even on dry nights. I cleaned it. It came back. Last night, around 1 a.m., the app pinged me again. Same pin, same grocery store. Same destination by the river. I didn't accept. But my back door clicked anyway. I'd been driving since noon. My eyes hurt. I took the first motel that didn't have cars on cinder blocks. The office smelled like lemon cleaner and hot dust. A thin man slid me a metal key on a wooden tag, 217. I signed the paper. The cleaning lady behind him was folding towels. She looked at the tag, then at me. "Lock both," she said. "And don't use the other door." I nodded, like I knew what she meant. I didn't ask. I just wanted sleep. Room 217 looked like every cheap room. 2 beds, art of a desert, a loud AC. There were 2 doors, one that led to the parking lot and another on the inside wall, like a connecting room door. I showered, ate a gas station sandwich, and checked the lock on the inside door. It had 2 chains and a deadbolt. The metal was scratched, like someone had tried to open it with the wrong key. The AC rattled hard every few minutes. I put my bag in front of the inside door, just to be extra safe. I set my phone on the nightstand and tried to sleep. Around 1 a.m., I woke up to a soft click. The room felt wrong, like someone had just left. The AC had stopped. The silence buzzed in my ears. I reached for my phone. The screen lit the room blue. That's when I noticed the bag I'd pushed against the inside door had moved 3 inches. Not kicked, not thrown, just slid like the door had pressed it. I held my breath and listened. I heard a slow exhale on the other side of the door, then the faintest scrape, like a fingernail testing paint. My heart banged. I texted the front desk. Did someone try to come in from the connecting room? No answer, another slow breath, then a whisper, too soft to be words. I grabbed the chair and wedged it under the handle. I didn't say a thing. I know now that silence can be a lock too. At 2:07 a.m., the door pushed again. The chain stretched tight. The chair groaned. The deadbolt rattled like a coin in a jar. I said, "I'm calling the police." The pushing stopped. I held the phone ready to dial. On the other side, a man's voice said in a calm, normal tone, "Sorry, wrong room." I stared at the wood. The voice was right at my ear level. Then soft steps moved away. A minute later, they came back. The handle turned again, slow and careful, like someone learning a new lock. A new whisper came, different voice, higher, maybe a woman. "Let me in." I left my bag. I didn't move. I said nothing. The door pressed hard. The chain sang. A low laugh leaked through the gap. The AC coughed back to life, and the lights flickered once. I called the front desk. This time someone answered. I said, "Someone keeps trying my connecting door." The man on the line paused a long time. Then he said, "There isn't a connecting door in 217. I looked at the wood, the chain, the chair. I said, "I'm looking at it." "No," he said, voice thin. "Not since we sealed it. Please come to the office." I grabbed my keys and left everything else, keeping my eyes on the inside door. The hallway smelled like bleach and old air. At the office, the man had a map of rooms on the wall. He pointed. "Room 217 used to connect to 219. We sealed it in after a break-in. It's drywall now." There's no door. The cleaning lady stood in the doorway, still holding towels. She shook her head once, slow. I asked, "Then what did I hear?" She looked down. "Sometimes it knocks from the old side. We went back together. When I opened 217, the chair was still wedged, the chain still hooked, the deadbolt still turned. But the wood behind the chain wasn't a door anymore. It was smooth drywall. My bag sat on the carpet 3 inches from the wall. There were 4 fresh scratches in the paint. The lines were the length of fingers. I was house-sitting for my cousin and her husband. One weekend, nice pay, quiet neighborhood, easy rules. Feed the cat, water the plants, keep the baby monitor on in case their 8-month-old fussed in the night. The parents were at a wedding out of town. The baby stayed with grandparents. So the nursery was empty. I liked the idea of a clean house with smart lights and a big TV. I locked the doors, set the alarm, and settled in with a movie. Around midnight, the heat clicked off, and the house got that still feeling big houses get. I walked past the nursery on the way to the kitchen. I didn't turn on the light, but the white noise machine in the room hummed. Habit, I guessed. I left it. At 1:40, the monitor on the coffee table crackled. A hiss like wind. I turned the volume down. I reminded myself no one was in there. The baby's crib was at the grandparents'. At 2:11, the monitor woke again. A soft breath. Then in a whisper that wasn't quite a whisper, I heard, "Evan, that's my name." I froze with my hand on the remote. The voice sounded like it came from the bottom of the crib, too close to the mic. I told myself it was interference. Maybe a neighbor's radio. Maybe the parents' phone calling in. I pressed the talk button. "Hello?" Nothing. The white noise hummed. I walked to the nursery. The door was cracked. I pushed it open. The room smelled like clean cotton. The nightlight glowed pale blue. The crib was empty. The baby camera in the corner had a little green LED. I leaned close to the crib mic. If this is a prank, it's not funny. Something moved on the camera feed, but not in the room. A shadow crossed the monitor screen from left to right. The actual wall stayed still. I felt stupid, so I said, "Okay, I'm going to bed." I backed out and left the door open. At 2:37, the monitor popped again. "Evan," the voice said, clearer now. "Come here." My spine iced over. I picked up the monitor and pressed talk. "Who is this?" The voice was lower, like someone trying to hide a laugh under breath. "I'm in the crib." I grabbed my keys. I didn't want to walk past the nursery to leave, but the stairs gave me no choice. I dialed my cousin while I moved. No answer. I dialed again. The monitor camera switched to night vision and clicked. On the tiny screen, the crib looked like a cage of grey bars. Something darker than dark sat in the corner. I stopped in the hall. I don't know why I didn't just run. I stood there, listening to my own blood in my ears. The voice said, very soft, "Pick me up." I stepped into the doorway and hit the light switch. The room filled with warm light. The crib was empty. The corner was empty. The camera LED turned from green to red, like it was recording. I said, "I'm calling the police." The white noise machine turned off by itself. The room went dead quiet. The monitor in my hand changed to a different view, not the nursery. A staircase. My staircase. Someone was standing halfway down it, just outside the frame. The mic picked up a low breath, then a little click, like a finger tapping wood. I ran to the top of the stairs and looked down. No one. The monitor showed the staircase again. A hand slid into view and rested on the banister. Long fingers, grey skin. I threw the front door open and set off the alarm. The siren howled. The alarm company called. I told them someone was in the house. The siren kept going, and the cat hid under the couch. I waited in the yard with the porch light on and my keys in a shaking hand. Police came. They went room by room. Every door was locked from the inside. No windows were open. The baby monitor sat on the coffee table, screen black, like it had died. When my cousin came home the next day, she said the monitor sometimes picks up other devices. "Old houses have ghost signals," she joked. We both laughed because we had to. I helped her carry the crib to the guest room to change the energy. We pulled it away from the wall. Behind the crib, the paint was worn smooth where tiny hands would reach. 10 little half-moon scratches lined up at the height of the mattress. That night, when I tried to sleep at home, my phone buzzed at 2:11 a.m., unknown number. I let it ring. It went to voicemail. The message was 9 seconds of white noise. Then a breath, then a whisper, "Pick me up."